Hello, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to talk now about another Tim Pool video. You're going to get a lot of them. I think he does a really good job of pointing out the fake news and with the media companies and the hypocrisy that goes on with government. So in this video, he's talking about how Joe Biden has managed to piss off everybody with his policies with immigration, and I do not understand why this is an issue either. I don't get it. This is the exact same thing with why you don't give poor people money. If you see a homeless person who's out there on the street, he's got like 50 major problems with him. And the chances that the lack of money that he faces is not one of them. Problems with alcoholism, child abuse, many things wrong with his childhood growing up or hers, lack of education or poor education, poor relationships. I mean, it's a lot. To be able to get there, that's a lot that's going on. And you're not in any position to be able to help them. You think that people haven't tried? You don't think that people have been trying since the dawn of time to help people who are downtrodden? You know what doesn't work? It's giving them money. You know why? Because money isn't magic. It's not sprinkled with some kind of fairy dust that whenever you touch it, it gets on you and it's like, oh, everything's great. Wrong. It doesn't fix their alcoholism. It doesn't fix their drug abuse. It doesn't mend relationships that they've broken. It doesn't mean that they have an education. It doesn't mean that they now have a job. It doesn't mean anything. It means one thing and one thing only. It means they went from not having money to now having some money. And I watched this guy, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and he's a clinical psychologist. And he has said that whenever these people do get money, they're gone. That he's counseled many of these people, and whenever they get money, they're gone like a welfare check. And then you don't see them for like 3 or 4 days later, and they're in a ditch. And if you really want to kill somebody, the way that you can do it with a person like this is give them a whole lot of money, because they don't know how to manage it at all. You know why? Because they've never known how to manage money. And they do the thing that they always know how to do, and that's they go out and they get high. And so they overdose. That's not it. And it's the same thing with this immigration. Just because they walk over this imaginary line in the dirt and they go from Mexico to the U.S., that does nothing. They're not smarter. They're not going to magically learn how to speak English, know how to drive our roads and read our signs that we've got posted on to help us navigate the streets. They have no job skills. It's still the same thing. It's like that ancient Chinese proverb goes, and now's a good time to stop to leave you hanging. If you like what I'm doing and you understand what I'm talking about, click that thumbs up, so then that way the algorithm will recognize this and promote me, so then that way more people can get engaged. If you've watched several times, subscribe. Obviously you're interested in what it is that I have to say, and get engaged in the description down below, or not the description, the comment section down there, because this is what I'm doing, is I'm building a website based off of facts and evidence, so that hopefully we can bring about real things that happen, and not just whatever some kind of politician happens to blabber out of their mouth. I don't care who they are, left or right. I don't like any of them. And if you've been watching for a month, then really consider thinking about going to my Patreon or Subscribestar and becoming a member there, because I need constant income coming in, so then that way I can hire people and constantly pay them. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to hire 4 people to help with content creation, so I can get more people by having more content, and then being able to hire people who can help with coding and managing all the computer technical things that happen in HR and accounting and everything else associated with having a business. I have a link in the description to my introduction video that'll go into this a little bit more, and I'll reveal more of this as time goes on, as the membership grows, as I see my viewer counts go up slowly but surely, and I'm not going to stop at all. Nothing's going to stop me, because I'm just know that this is going to work. I'm not preaching perfection. That's crap. But to make things better, progress, absolutely. And that's what we're going to do here. And I'm not trying to convince you that I have all the answers. I'm trying to convince you that things are wrong, and the way that we can really help things out is by basing our decisions off of the best information that we can possibly get our hands on. And I'm going to do my best to consolidate all of this, and I know how to do this, and it's going to be a million times better than anything that we've ever had before. And a lot of it is because we have all of this before us right now. We have all these computers, the internet, so we're not utilizing it in any good fashion. I mean, we are, but it's a fraction of what it should be, and I'm gonna bump this up for sure. So anyways, just like giving homeless people money doesn't do anything, same thing with these people crossing the border. They still have their same problems. You know what's really going to help? What's really going to help is if we help address the problems as to why they're having to leave in the first place. How about we lead by example? Here's a problem, is that we keep giving food to people in Africa. It's like wrong. So that ancient Chinese proverb that I was talking about, which you've probably heard before, is that if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. And it's a metaphor. It's not literally going out there and dealing with fish and fishermen or anything like that. It's that if you overindulge in kindness, you're not being kind, you're enabling. And you're enabling this person to stay weak and helpless. So instead, strengthen them, educate them, so then that way they can take care of themselves. And then they can decide for themselves what they want to do. Do they want to be extremely materialistic? Do they want to have a lot of money? Perhaps they would rather focus on friends and family instead. You only have 24 hours in a day, and it doesn't matter how rich you are. Everybody is confined to that. We are all limited with this. And so that there's no right or wrong answer. And if that's what they want to do, then so be it, and leave them alone. You know, so it's not like, no, we don't need any of these people coming over here. We need to outreach to them for those who want help. So then that way they don't have to do a dangerous trip. So then that way we can cut down on, what is that? Human trafficking. Wouldn't that be better? I mean, giving them the ability to choose for themselves. And what can we do today? Today, we've got all this electronics. We've got all these different means of communicating with people, so we can share this information so they can make things better. It's like one of the things that's going on is that over there in Africa right now, and in many parts of the world, we are lifting people out of object poverty at a crazy rate. And Jordan Peterson's talking about this a lot in his speeches that he's given, and that this was something that the UN had set a goal on. And it looked like not only are we going to be able to do it, but we're going to be able to do it ahead of schedule, because there's a lot that's just going on all around the world. And it's because people are realizing that, you know, if you want money and power, going through war and selling all these pieces of machinery, you know, tanks and trucks and planes and all this stuff, that's old news. Today, it's technology, it's information, it's the big tech companies that are doing this. And if you put a little bit of money in everybody's hand, then you can really get rich. I think that's at least part of it. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but that's definitely part of it. And also, he just recently started talking about how someone discovered that the lands in Africa are fertile. And that there's one country in Africa where they have so much space and so much fertile land that they can feed all of Africa themselves. This is why feeding them and sending them food does nothing. It collapses their food economy because they're getting food for free. Which one would you rather do? Would you want to buy your food or get it for free? You shouldn't be doing that. You should be sending them the equipment and the tools so that they can do it themselves. Now, it can't be over the top. It can't be something that is so complicated that they can't afford the replacement parts, you know, and I see this, you know, they'll set up some kind of solar power stuff or whatever. And it's like, great. What happens whenever it breaks? What then? It's absolutely stupid. You have to give them what's appropriate for them. They have to take it in steps. It's no different than anything else. You have to learn how to crawl before you can walk. You have to walk before you run. It's no different with this. Now, they can go through it a hell of a lot faster because we've already discovered this, and many countries are doing all kinds of great things. I think I've said this before, but if not, China is producing more engineers, graduating more engineers every single year than what the U.S. has all combined. So it's like if the U.S., I don't know how many we have, but if we have 100,000 engineers, they're graduating like 150,000 engineers each year. And how's that possible? It's because roughly America has 350 million population and China has all that plus a billion. So that's how they're able to do that. And that's part of the reason why they have the potential of becoming the strongest economy in the world. And it's because it's just a numbers game. They just have so many people. And that's part of what's lifting people out of poverty, is that they're really kind of getting onto this. And it's also going on in India as well. They have over 1 billion population in India, even though it's incredibly small. Part of that is that they're also going around telling people to stop having so many children. It's obvious it's a numbers game again, that if you're having 12, 13, 14 children, that's much more difficult to take care of instead of 2, 3, or 4, which is exactly what it used to be back in the day before we had contraception. So anyways, I don't get this. I don't understand how this is a debate. This should have been quelled a long time ago. You have to help things at their source. It's not this just broad generalization. It's virtue signaling is what this is. This is virtue signaling. This is people going around saying, well, I did good. It's like, no, you didn't. It's surface level stuff. That's why whenever you scratch away at it, there's nothing there. It's shallow. It's meaningless. You have helped no one. They come over here and they still can't work because they're still not educated. They don't know how to do anything. And then they're on welfare. And I think the only people who benefit from this are politicians, because that gives them the chance to then go off and say, well, we have all of these homeless people. We have all these people who are in need. We need to raise taxes so then that way we can have more welfare for all of them. And guess what happens? They put their hand in that cookie jar and they take that money from it. It happens all the time. Here's something that you can look at. You can look at the World Trade Towers. And whenever they were first built, they got those things built in like a year and a half. When the terrorists ran the planes into it, it took them over 9 years to do it. It's like to rebuild them. It's like what all the surrounding buildings got done incredibly fast, because it wasn't just like it was those 2 towers that had damage. It was all the surrounding area. Everything got done besides that. And they spent like $20 million on a company, which ended up doing nothing. And they still took the money anyways. Oh, the corruption. Something else that I've also seen is that politicians will do something and they'll fund roads, and they will fund roads out into the middle of nowhere because there's somebody who lives out there, and because of the corruption they're able to put all of this massive infrastructure out there. And so they'll run power, they'll run a road out there, and it's just for this one person or a few people. And it's like, why is there all of this nice stuff going on out here in the middle of nowhere? It's because, well, who lives there? Oh, it's ridiculous. I hope that's not true. It's just something I saw in a documentary. So, but I wouldn't put it past it. It seems like that is something that's within the realm of possibility, because these politicians and their constituents, they have all this kind of money, and that's kind of how it's, well, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. But this whole stuff with immigration, Tim Pool just really gets into it. He finds a lot of really good articles, and I would like to be able to get to a point where part of these first people that I hire is to do more of what he's doing, where I can have the articles and more information besides me just talking, because this is not what I want. I do not want you to listen to me. I want to see where the facts and the evidence lead to. So that's all that I've got to say. I've got a link of his video down there in the description below. It's about 30 minutes long. It's really interesting. I advise you to go ahead and take a look. Leave some comments down there in the comments section. Give a thumbs up, subscribe, and go donate, and let's make this happen. Thanks. Bye.